Welcome back to Living in Austin, Texas. In this video, we are doing a short summary, the cliff notes, if you will, of San Marcos, Texas, what you'll need to know before potentially moving there. But before diving in case you're new here, my name is Frank. I make the videos happen, and I am partnered with our closer, licensed agent, Caleb Breitmer, and we help people just like you wanting to relocate to the greater Austin area. So whether you're 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team however you want, whenever you want. That is what we are here for. So in the world of the greater Austin area, you've always had your staples, if you will. Round Rock, for example, Georgetown, for example, and so on. In the case of San Marcos, for the longest time, I personally feel like it's flown under the radar because a lot of these other places that are booming have become hotspots for relocation. They've become highly sought after destinations, right? San Marcos, for a long time, has kind of been thought of as this college town that's kind of on the way to San Antonio, right? If you live in Austin, or at least have lived in Austin for a long time, you definitely make that drive to San Antonio on occasion to enjoy San Antonio because it's not that far away. And yeah, you pass through San Marcos, and for a while it was just kind of there, right? It was very underrated. However, in recent years, especially the past 5 years, I would say, San Marcos has really evolved. It has become more popular, but not to the point where it's at the top of the list in terms of being sought after, where the price has really gone up, where it's been filled with a bunch of transplants, you know? But it's kind of the opposite because yeah, for a long time people knew it was there, they knew it was affordable, but they knew that there was a catch or a reason why it was so affordable. And as mentioned in recent years, it's become kind of a hidden gem because that affordability, for the most part, has remained the same compared to a lot of places in the greater Austin area. San Marcos is cheap, but no longer cheap in the sense of, well, you don't really want to live there. Now it's cheap and there's a lot to offer. So with all that said, let's get into it and hopefully help you arrive at your own conclusion as to whether or not it might be right for you. For starters, let's talk location. And this is something I religiously like to bring up whenever we're doing our short summaries, if you will, of places to live within the greater Austin area. The main reason I like to start with this is because whether you're living in San Marcos, Leander, Georgetown, what have you, chances are you're not going to be working in those places unless, of course, you are working remote from home. But a lot of people don't have that luxury. A lot of people commute still, right? And if you're going to be working in Austin, Texas, say, downtown, then you need to know how far away it is from whatever town in the greater Austin area you're living in, right? So in the case of San Marcos, Texas, you are going to be on average about 40 minutes from the heart of downtown. Now, this is kind of bad if you're from here, right? But I realize a lot of the clients we've helped relocate here have come from San Francisco, for example, or they come from Manhattan, where they are used to commutes far worse than 40 minutes. But at the same time, a lot of people might be coming from a place where they only had to drive a hop and a skip away, and that 40-minute drive might be a headache when you think about it twice a day, 5 days a week, 4 weeks a month, 12 months a year, and so on. But having said that, it's still not the worst commute that you'll find in the greater Austin area. You know, it's really on par with Georgetown, Texas, which is a hotspot for relocation, a very popular place. Georgetown on average is just about 40 to 45 minutes as well. And then you'll have your further away places like Taylor, Texas, for example, which might be closer to an hour, or Gerald, Texas, that type of thing. Back to the location of San Marcos, though, something else I'll mention is a lot of the people who relocate to the greater Austin area are doing so for tech, right? And a lot of that tech, yes, is in downtown Austin, but there is a North Austin tech hub. So if you're going to be considering living in San Marcos, Texas, and you know you might be working in North Austin, that is going to be an hour on average. So I'm just giving you that heads up in case you're not from here and you're thinking, oh, I'll be working tech in Austin, when it's really North Austin and then just adds to the commute. So keep that in mind. And lastly, on the subject of the location of San Marcos, Texas, I will mention its proximity to San Antonio, which is not something I usually do in these short summaries, but that I will do because San Marcos is more or less kind of the unofficial halfway point when you're going to San Antonio. As mentioned, you kind of pass it on the way. To be fair, it is closer to Austin, Texas, as mentioned, about 40 minutes on average. But if you're trying to get from San Marcos to San Antonio, right? Let's say you're going to be working in San Antonio instead of Austin and you want to live in San Marcos, that too is going to be right around an hour drive. And if you're commuting, then of course you're doing that twice a day, right? Just something to think about. And even if you are working remote, right? I realize I'm speaking to people in the context of commuting, but even if you do work from home and you want to spend time in Austin, you want to dabble in this great city, or you want to spend time in San Antonio, I'm also talking about it recreationally, right? If every time you want to get out of your town and hit the city, you have to think about that drive. It's not going to be a hop and a skip. And I really don't mean to be the bearer of bad news here, but when you're making such a huge decision, such as relocating, you want to know what to expect. Up next, let's talk about the things to do in San Marcos, Texas. Personally speaking, I think this is something that San Marcos really has going for it. It always has to some extent, but especially now, as mentioned, over the past 5 or 10 years. And this is something that I think also really gives San Marcos an edge over other more sought after popular places, as mentioned, in the greater Austin area. Because, for example, if you're talking about Leander, Cedar Park, Liberty Hill, those kinds of places, San Marcos blows them out of the water in terms of having its fair share of things to do. If you live in San Marcos, chances are you probably aren't going to want to escape to downtown Austin as often as you probably would in other places that are more typical suburbia. In the case of San Marcos, Texas, quite contrary to a suburban hub, you are going to have a downtown vibe. You are going to have eclectic things to do. You're not just going to have typical generic shopping centers and big chain restaurants everywhere. You are going to have exhibits. You're going to have museums. You're going to have things in the arts, galleries, art centers, murals, shows. You're also going to have the other typical really cool things that any downtown is going to offer. Boutique shops, eateries, restaurants, bars. Emphasis on bars because yes, it is still a college town despite its evolution. And on top of all of that, you're going to have a plethora of outdoorsy things to do if that is your jam. Most notable would be the San Marcos River. You can absolutely tube there, bring your drink, float the river. That's the most popular thing to do, but you can also bring a bag and do a picnic, right? You can also kayak, you can swim, see how deep it is. It just has a lot to offer in that regard. And then yes, you also have these San Marcos premium outlets, but I didn't want to lead with that because you can find that in Round Rock, right? You can find that type of thing in suburbia. In San Marcos, that is yet another thing added to its already long list of things to do. So that is the good news about San Marcos, Texas. Chances are you are not going to be bored there, and on the off chance you do eventually get bored, just drive 40 minutes into the heart of downtown Austin and you're in a whole new world. Moving right along, let us now talk about the schools in San Marcos, Texas. If you are watching this and you have no family or no plans to start a family, I do apologize. It will probably bore you and feel free to skip ahead. However, a lot of our clients, I would say a majority of the clients that we've helped relocate to the greater Austin area are doing so either with kids already or with intentions to start a family, and they are always, rightfully so might I add, concerned about the schools. The greater Austin area, scratch that. Texas itself is known to have amazing public school districts, and yes, Austin does have a couple, most notably the Leander Independent School District and the Round Rock Independent School District. Absolute cream of the crop, sought after districts that they want their kids to go to. And so, for example, there is a website called niche.com that I like to use when I'm doing my homework for these videos and that I highly encourage you guys to use, which basically has public information about pretty much any place you can think of in the country. And yes, it does do the school districts and gives them, ironically, letter grades. So for example, the Leander Independent School District gets an A+ from niche.com. The Round Rock District gets an A from niche.com, and it doesn't just easily give out A's, by the way. It is quick to be more harsh if a district is not top tier. And so that leads us, unfortunately, to San Marcos, Texas. According to niche.com, public information, the San Marcos Consolidated Independent School District gets a letter grade of a C+ from niche.com. Apparently, according to whatever metrics they like to use, the San Marcos district is not just a little bit less nice than the aforementioned districts, it is considerably less desirable. So yeah, once again, I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news here, nor am I trying to dissuade you, disenchant you, discourage you, anything like that. My job is to relay the information, be as blunt as possible, so that you can arrive at your own decision. And I do think, in the spirit of fairness, a silver lining is that if San Marcos continues to evolve the way it has, especially in recent years with its growth and its development, I do think the public school district will follow suit. I think the quality will continue to improve, as if it has no other choice, as people continue to relocate there. But for now, at least according to niche.com, it just isn't quite there yet. And I do think that is reflected in its affordability. So let's finally talk about that. Regarding the affordability of San Marcos, Texas, I feel it is important to bring some context into the equation first. For example, if you're considering relocating to downtown Austin, it will easily have a median home price of right around $600,000, making it by far the most expensive place to live in all of Texas, right? Even if you're looking at Cedar Park, Texas, great schools, peak suburbia, I mean, it's a dream to live there, right? That will have a median home price of right around $500,000. Georgetown will be in the high fours, Round Rock will follow suit, Leander, all those places are going to be in the fours, and in many cases, closer to $500,000, right? In the case of San Marcos, Texas, it has a median home price of right around $320,000. For a place in the greater Austin area to be that relatively affordable baffles me. I mean, is it super dirt cheap like a Taylor, Texas or a Manor, Texas? No, but those places are pretty underdeveloped, right? There isn't a lot to do. It's really just a lot of farmland, right? One grocery store type places. As mentioned, San Marcos has a lot to offer, more to offer, at least in terms of things to do, than a lot of these more expensive, sought-after places, right? I do think the drawback, if you will, as mentioned, would be the schools, right? What does make Leander as expensive as it is today? The school districts, right? A lot of these families moving into these master plan communities where their kids can walk to the top-rated elementary school. San Marcos is not going to offer that, at least yet, so I don't think it can really jack up its prices the same way. I don't mean to be dismissive of the school districts because, as mentioned, I like to bring it up because, yeah, most of our clients have kids or want to have kids and it matters to them, rightfully so. But if you're in a position where that's just not at the top of your list of priorities right now, and you're looking to be close enough to downtown Austin, this popular booming place in the country, and you're not trying to pay Austin prices, in my opinion, it is a no-brainer. But hey, to be fair, I might be wrong. I'm wrong sometimes. You might absolutely hate San Marcos, Texas. Hopefully though, despite how brief it is, this video has helped you arrive at your own conclusion. If it is right for you, perfect. Look no further. If it's not, also perfect. That means you have an idea of what you don't want and what you're looking for. Either way, that is what we are here for, helping people just like you wanting to relocate to the greater Austin area, find that perfect spot. But again, the only way we can do that is, yes, by you reaching out to us. So don't hesitate. Whether you're 9 days away or 90, reach out to our team, whether you shoot us a text, send us an email, give us a call, any day of the week, any time of day. It is what we love to do. And in case you're new, on this channel, we talk about living in Austin, the greater Austin area, the good and yes, the bad. So if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel and ringing that little bell to get notified anytime we put out a new video. Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Click the like button if we've been providing any value for you. Share it with anybody you know wanting to learn more about Austin. And until the next one, you guys, my name is Frank. This is Yes, Living in Austin, Texas, and we will absolutely catch you later.